Hello, Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, you guys, it is Wednesday and we haven't even talked about the Sister Wives this week, which means that we're well overdue for some Sister Wives tea. And we have sort of a compilation here, some multiple stories in one. We've got Meri, who says she's been rejected. We have Maddie clapping back at questions about her daughter. We've got Gwendolyn being Gwendolyn, and that's where we're at for today. Okay. So last week we talked about their daughter Evie. So Madison and her husband Caleb, they had a little girl, and she was born with a condition where her limbs are different lengths, and one of her legs has a tibia that is shorter than the other one, and in her hands have some webbing in their fingers, and she's missing a few digits on her hands. She has a condition that is being treated, and she had one of her first procedures, which was to remove her foot at her heel to prepare for a prosthetic. So anytime there's a big decision like that by a family, obviously she shared the information. She shared the good news of the little girl doing very well. She's been sharing adorable photos of her daughter with her little casts on, and she appears to be super happy and doing really, really well, you guys. And I am always impressed with anyone that puts the best interests of their child and takes any steps they need to help the kid have the best quality of life. So apparently Madison is getting kind of like a lot of nasty messages, or people are asking her questions, maybe not even nasty, but sort of ignorant. And so people have said things to her, and this is what she shared on her Instagram story, or on her Instagram post. She said, "You cut her foot off. If she was functional, why did you amputate? Wait, where is her foot? Was it really necessary to do this?" There are questions. These are questions I've received. She said, "I understand the questions, and at first glance, I would ask the same thing." She said, "Evie's left tibia bone, along with the bowing it had, was also about 1/3 shorter than her right. When she's little, it's not super noticeable, unless closely looked at. As she grows, though, we are looking at the possibility of a dramatic difference. Some families and people opt for lengthening surgery, but Miss Evie's difference was in the gray area. It wasn't even sure if it was possible or not. And with at least 4 major procedures needed and the possibility of having to eventually take the foot at the end, we chose to just go the route of the Boyd amputation. This was not a lighthearted decision. We spent the better part of the last year educating ourselves, talking to doctors, prosthetics, other families, and other amputees as we came to the decision we did. Before Evie, I classified amputees as one category. You amputated because there was no way for saving the limb. I think that goes along with limb difference education. Sometimes it's about quality of life. Due to this, I wanted to give a more in-depth explanation and answer all at once, and I hope it will bring awareness as a part of this." So she had a lot of support in the comments, and people were kind of stunned that people would even ask these kinds of questions. And I think anytime you have a child that goes through anything different that's of the norm or of sort of the status quo, there's always a lot of questions, whether indirectly, they're usually meant with well-intended questions. A lot of times it's out of curiosity. Sometimes it's out of ignorance, and people simply don't understand. And in this case, people were likely stunned because they were like, "Well, but she has a foot and it works, and why would you do this, and why would you do that?" And so her explanation makes sense to me. I actually have a friend whose daughter was born with a limb difference, and they did everything that Madison talked about. They tried the lengthening. They tried a lot of different ways to make it so that the foot would be the same length as the other one, and ultimately it just did not work out. And so eventually, after doing all these procedures to try to save it and try to make it work, it didn't work. And so then she eventually needed to go the route that Madison took right away. So because she falls sort of in that gray area, she just took the route of, I don't want to try things that may not work, and I want to try to improve her quality of life, so let's go this route. And I think that's, that's not an easy decision to make. And I commend her for going that route. I'm also really happy to see her using her platform in a way that will educate people, because a lot of times when you're dealing with something of anything outside of the norm, it's easy to feel defensive and to feel angry when people question what you're doing, but she handled this with such grace and such tact, and I love how she's trying to educate people. And I say kudos to Madison for doing her best to make sure that her daughter Evie has the best quality of life. And at the end of the day, that's what everyone should want, right? Yay, Madison, go Evie. She's a really, really cute baby. Okay. So Madison's doing that. Now, Meri has been going back and forth all over the place. She was in Utah, and she's been reopening Lizzie's Heritage Inn, and there's been a lot of vague statements all over the place. And she recently shared something about rejection, which I thought was interesting. So in a post on a story, she said, "Rejection doesn't mean you aren't good enough. It means the other person failed to notice what you have to offer. You are enough." Interesting. Now, last season, at the end of the season, there was that whole part about Kody and him saying that he felt like he had been misled. He felt like he had been deceived. He regretted marrying Meri because he had no idea what he was getting into. And he was disenchanted and disengaged in the relationship. And the relationship really wasn't anywhere where he wanted to be in a relationship anymore. And clearly she is still feeling rejected. Sometimes I feel like she does this to stir things up, but in all honesty, I truly feel like there's probably a level of rejection here. And I think, she didn't fail. You don't fail when someone doesn't want you. It just means that they failed to notice, or you just aren't the right fit. And honestly, I know that there's this covenant that they're part of, and the kingdom and the heaven and everything that keeps these two together. I just wish that Meri would disconnect and walk away. Now, some people say that they only stay together because of the show. You've got Christine's daughter, McKelty, basically saying that it's not as big of a deal as they make it seem, but there are issues. It's really, there's no way to know. And I feel like as long as the show is on the air, they're not going to split up because they depend on that money. My opinion, but I could be wrong. Okay. And then Janelle shared an update on Logan. So Logan, he hasn't been on the show in a million years. Well, he's actually entering his final year of his MBA. So he will be completing his MBA, and his girlfriend actually commented under the post, and she said that it's been a long time coming and she's very excited. And if you didn't know, his girlfriend actually donated a kidney. So people on the post were also thanking her for donating, and she said that she was very grateful to be able to help someone. So it's awesome to see Logan going forward and his girlfriend donating. I mean, that's amazing. She saved someone's life. Now, Logan and his girlfriend, they're engaged, or they're actually engaged, his fiance. They don't do things the same way as everyone else. They're living together. They drink and craft beer. They're not living the fundy life anymore. So, it's interesting to see how the kids have all kind of gone in different directions. And then you have, obviously, Gwendolyn, who just graduated from high school. And she has been very vocal about, her political feelings about voting for Joe Biden and in her support of BLM and Black Lives Matter. And she's also been very open now about her being, a part of the LGBTQ+. So, as everyone is growing up in the family, it's awesome to see the support from the family within, and that everyone is supporting everyone. So that part of it is amazing. So we've got Meri, who's rejected. We've got Maddie, who's clapping back. We've got Logan, who's finishing his MBA. We've got his fiance, who has donated a kidney. And we have Gwendolyn, who is being fiercely Gwendolyn. And I actually like a feisty girl. I like someone like Gwendolyn that's not afraid to use her voice. She's very similar to her sister Mariah. So it's going to polarize some of the fans that are not into the political side of things. They might not like what she has to say, but I can always, appreciate any young person that uses their platform to say how they feel about things and use it to inspire or motivate people. All right, so what do you think about all these updates? What do you think about Maddie using her platform for actually educating? What do you think about Logan and All of it. Tell me, is Meri rejected? Is Kody out the door? Has he only picked Robin? Is Christine's daughter ever going to get her surgery? Will Kody actually pay off all their debt? And will they build at Coyote Pass? You'll have to wait and see, and we'll find out in the next update or not. Bye, guys.